Dune Awakening's December patch is fast approaching, and with it comes some of the most requested features since the dawn of Dune Awakening's release. Some of these new features that ultimately will help the longevity and survival for what is a paradigm of Funcom surviving Arrakis themselves. We'll have to wait and find out as we edge closer to part 3, which is promising the redemption story of a rework of Deep Desert. But let's jump into what will be one of the biggest updates before we get into 2026, and we finally got the cargo container, along with server merging and tons of new stuff coming. Let's dive in. It's finally freaking here. The Carrier Ornithopter cargo container, costing 300 plastanium ingot, 135 silicon blocks, 135 spice melange, and 90 advanced servoc. This is built with the advanced vehicle fabricator, and there is only currently one version, and that is in the final tier. Unfortunately, there are no uniques. It would have been pretty cool if there was a unique version of this, but let's check this out. We're going to construct this. When we unlock it, they give a little pop-up here, a cargo container with anchor points that can be lifted by the Carrier Ornithopter, placed with the welding torch, so it will function just like a vehicle. The logistics of the transport on Arrakis have always been difficult, and while this container makes moving large amount of resources around the planet efficient, hazards such as worms and sandstorms are still a constant threat. But boy, oh boy, am I keen for this, and I know many of you are. Here we are at the advanced fabricator. Now, it will be interesting to see where they've placed it in scheme of things. You'll find it under the Carrier Ornithopter. So let's go ahead and craft it and see if it is meeting all our expectations. Got its own little custom animation, and the build time seems to be quite quick as well. Very quick. Boy, oh boy. And that's it, done. And now we can put it in. It's kind of crazy because we can put it in our inventory. I didn't think you were allowed to put your base reconstruction tools in the containers, but they must have changed that. Okay, we should be able to fit it now. We've got it. It takes a huge amount of space, which makes sense, but there it is. Armor, 1500. Max volume, 15,000 and 150 slots. Holy moly. Comparing that to the Sandcrawler of a measly 7,500 volume and the unique version having 11,215, but only 30 slots. So we'll put this thing together. It looks like it's just one piece and it functions just like any other vehicle, and it is freaking huge, which is what you expect. And it's quite flexible on the ground, which is good. Doesn't error too much. I mean, look how nicely it shifts to the odd terrain. That's nice. I like that. We'll place it down, and there it is in all its glory. It's huge. So you can rename it as well, which will be handy if you have a lot of these being moved at the same time. We'll grab the carrier and we'll put some stuff in the container and make sure we can carry it out to the deep desert. And what is freaking fantastic is we can go into our storage in the drop down, select Carrier Ornithopter cargo container, and just start unloading mass amounts of quantity of things. I could pretty much carry every single item I have. Get a little carried away. Not every single item, but close to it. But just get a load of how nice it's going to be moving in and out of the deep desert. Huge quality of life change. I'm so freaking happy that they've got this. But just to give you an idea, we can just unload. I mean, a whole guild will be able to easily move in and out. So we've got in a ton of stuff. Let's go take it over to the deep desert. Connects just like any other vehicle does. It basically operates just like your harvester. Really nice and smooth. Hooks up real nice. Now the real test is going to be taking this to the deep desert. So we'll go do that and see if we lose anything. I certainly don't expect it just yet, but let's just test if we can access the cargo container in one of the social hubs, Arrakeen. Whoa, okay, you can actually access the vehicle storage. That is freaking incredible. Okay, well, that's nice. We can easily now move everything. If we need to pack down and take a break from the game, you can now use the storage container to move massive amounts of materials and store them in the bank. Will be easier just to use the backup tool, but this is going to be a great option for those that have very technically difficult bases, or if your spot is taken on the other servers. If you do merge, you'll be able to use this new function, the new storage container, to make those moves much easier. And here it is. It's spawned in the deep desert. Have we lost any content? Nope. No, we have not. This is incredible. So it's just going to spawn behind your vehicle. It spawned really nice and close, which is also a nice little touch. And we'll just make sure we can carry it and it functions all the same. And we can pick it up and bing, bada, boom. Now we can go and set up a whole huge base, a whole guild base if you like. This is glorious. I'm so friggin' happy. Now, a lot of you will say it's too late, but hey, it's finally come. In the future, as they make and figure things out with the deep desert, this is going to be what will bring a lot of people back. And this is all we would have to do now. Fly the Carrier Ornithopter out unpack everything once, get straight into the deep desert content, start bringing stuff back. And then when you're all finished, you may have one or two, and then you would just pick these bad boys up, flying back to Haggard Basin, streamlining what can take hours upon hours into just one simple action. Now, in terms of the speed, as far as I can tell, we are pretty much moving at the same speeds we would if we had a harvester. I don't think there's any real changes there. You will be an extremely high value target trying to carry something like this out now. And with the increased view distance, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all works out in guild warfare. So we'll travel back and make sure everything's still there as we get into Haggard Basin. It spawns just the same in Haggard Basin, quite close to the vehicle, which is nice. We actually got someone down there. It's like the first time I've seen someone on the test server. So returning after a full week of deep deserts, what it's going to look like, we'll be throwing it down, parking in the carrier, going to one of your storage containers, and then just unloading everything with a few clicks. This is freaking unreal. Now, it is probably worth noting that in the future, there will be another tier added to this game. So I would suspect that we will get another container which holds more volume. There may be a point where we'll have another container that we can have at our base with the same kind of volume, and we can just have mass amounts of stuff stored, and it's an easy hold R and it just transfers it all over. But as a quick example, we're just going to throw all this stuff in, fill these containers, and douche. That's it. That's incredible. So it is functioning quite well from my minimal testing, and extremely excited to see the container in the main branch. Now, since it is considered a vehicle, you can repair it. Don't know if we'll be able to customize it maybe down the track, but if we want to then pack it up, we would just use the detach, and you will need to ensure that you have enough inventory because the cargo container itself is 125 volume, so huge. You can't really carry much, which is what you'd expect. And just for comparison, I'll show you a normal size container, tiny compared to the storage container. The storage container is absolutely massive. We put all these together. Look at that. Huge, medium size, and then it just gets tiny. Pretty incredible. Would be funny if you could use your backup tool with the storage container. Of course, you won't be able to. And I do assume you may be able to use it with the recovery tool, but I haven't tested that. Don't want to risk losing all that material. I guess the other interesting thing is now you could technically just have a lot of these storage containers at your base and use these as storage, which means you would be able to have a complete transfer where you could transfer the whole contents of one container to the other. So unloading would be very quick as well. But there you have it. That's a cargo container in Dune Awakening. Huge for the game. Also slowly adding in the ability to purchase all the various drops, including the Observer building set. You'll now be able to purchase it from either of the Decor merchants in Arrakeen or Harco Village, and you can purchase the pieces individually. Meaning if you've gotten some of the drops, you won't have to pay the full amount. And I believe over time we'll see any other drops and things that have been Twitch specific coming to these vendors shortly or in the near future. Another fantastical change, and really is a big deal, is directional dashing. No longer do we just automatically always dash back. We can now control dash by using the keys and dashing in the direction that we need. We can dash forward, to the sides, sort of like a strafe. So the system is a lot more flexible now. One of the other combat changes is activating the Prescient state now clears existing poison and any poison stack. So really emphasizing and making sure that the Prescient state is the ultimate state to be in, fall back into, and get you out of some very tricky situations. One of the other biggest requests coming from the Dune community is the ability to transfer your character to another server. When I say server, I mean another world. And I did go in and just give it a real quick test on a new character as they set it up in the test environment where you could transfer your character to another world. It's going to be a really easy process to transfer your character, but basically how it's all going to work together when you want to do this yourself is you're going to use the BBT. I know they've changed the name to BRT, but we'll just call it the BBT. Rolls off the tongue too well, but your base backup transfer tool. You would whip that out, go to your base, break down all your vehicles, put them into storage, grab your tool out. I would always make a couple backup tools just in case. Then you would back up your base and everything on your character in your inventory at your bank, your Solari, and your stored based items. Everything will then be transferred over by hitting escape. There'll be a transfer world button on the bottom on the left hand side. When you click on that transfer, you will get this transfer restrictions pop up. On transfer, you will only retain the contents of your backpack and Solari/items stored in your bank. Tools such as the base Reconstruction tool, Solido replicator, and vehicle backup tool can be useful for transferring your base and vehicles. So keep in mind your vehicle backup, your Solido, all that stuff will be transferable. Upon transferring, your character will be removed from the previous world and all remaining resources, vehicles, sub-V exchange listings will be abandoned. Extremely important to remember before you do this. Make sure you have nothing listed on the market. You've packed down all your vehicles and everything is ready to go. Continuing on, transferring to a new server may require a transfer token. Now in the test environment, we had 10 to keep trying to test this. We don't know the number of transfer tokens you will get in the live version, but I suspect you may get one every month, or you may get a token here or there, but you won't have an unlimited supply. So you will need to make a proper decision, as you can't just keep jumping from world to world to world without some kind of time lag. So in this case, your account will have a maximum of 10 tokens in the test environment at least that will regenerate over time when used. So I suspect maybe a month, could be a lot shorter. Not sure about that. You will be asked to confirm the transfer when selecting the new seat, return to server browser and continue transfer. So for this, we'll go, hit the server browser. Then it's going to come up with quit to menu. We're going to go quit. You'll have the character will remain in the world for 27 seconds and is vulnerable to attack. Don't need to worry about that too much. And then here we can see we have the new world we can transfer to and the token. So I'm in world 1. We're going to select world 2, select a new seat. Now, this was where it can be a bit tricky, right? Because 1, you have to make sure you have no existing characters on world 2. So if you did want to try scout to see if your area for your base is available, you would have to create a new character on this world, quickly try scout the siege area and the place you want to put your base down, see if it's available. Then you would need to delete that character, then go back to say, in this instance, world 1, grab your character or your stuff, then transfer to world 2. I believe if you have an existing character, it will override it or delete it or not let you transfer. I'm not 100% sure how that will work. Let me know in the comments if you know, but definitely something to consider. Don't have another character on the world you want to transfer, but if you do want to scout out the area, you could do it technically. But in this case, we're just going to go transfer, and then it's going to go through the process, which takes, only about 30 seconds, not too long at all. After waiting only a few seconds, we get the NA transfer world 2 to this seat. So reminder, on transfer, you will only retain the contents of your backpack, Solari items stored in your bank, tools such as the base Reconstruction tool, Solido and vehicle backup. These should all be pretty much on your person, can be useful for transferring your base and vehicles to new worlds. Your character will be removed from the previous world, and all remaining resources, vehicles, and exchange listings will be abandoned. This action cannot be undone. We just want to make 100% certain, and they've made it very difficult to accidentally transfer by making us type in transfer, and this basically will waive out any mistakes you make, in the sense that if you go in and transfer and you haven't gone through the process of setting this up correctly and getting all your shit together, that's on you, man. We're going to type in transfer, then hit transfer. Then we will need to get our name together. So if someone's already taken your name, I don't believe you'll be able to have multiple characters with the exact same name. So you may have to change it slightly. Just be mindful of that. But technically, this could also be used in conjunction with the character editor, as you would be able to change your name and then change your character's appearance in game. Something to note. But in any case, we're going to hit transfer. This will take a little bit longer, anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute, and then douche, that's it. The character has been transferred. And when you go in and log into the seats you've elected, you'll spawn in Hager Basin, Griffin, Reach, Trade Post, and your character level, all quest progression, inventory, unlocked vehicles, skill progression, all learned recipes, everything will be transferred to that new world and seat. So this is a pretty huge deal, in the sense that now Funcom will probably look at culling some of the servers. I'll have more information on how this is all going to go down when we get more info, but this is what it's going to look like, and these are some of the steps you'll need to take. And if you are just hanging on the side with all your gear in your bank and you're looking to hang on to it all, I recommend just paying a lot of attention over the next 3 to 4 months, just in case they do cull some of the servers. You don't want to be caught logging back in and your character's completely gone because they've shut down servers, but we really don't have any more or new information on that. When we get to that, I'll definitely let you know. But that is a good little rundown of how it will all work. If you have any questions or you got any more info, drop it in the comments, as this will pretty much change so much of the game having this ability. Now, I covered the base transfer tool in the previous video, but I will just throw it in this video as well in case you're not familiar with it, but we're going to run through that in a lot of detail. So there has been some massive changes to the back end, and with that comes this build up and lead in of the merging. So phase 1 for this server merge and character transfer rollout is this incredible tool called the base backup tool. Make sure you use the chapters where you need them, as we will be going through a lot of info. And if you're one of those players who have just been powering up your base every 30, 20 days, definitely consider using this base backup tool, as basically it's designed if you want to take a long break or prepare for upcoming transfers. I was quite terrified to test this on my own base with over 700 hours in the test environment. And to really test this feature out, I'm going to take one of the biggest risks where if this fails, I probably won't be making these update videos anymore. So we're going to risk it all. We're going to try use the base backup tool to completely relocate this base. I'm going to run you through what you need to do, and more importantly, all the validations, rules, everything that you should need to know if you're going to do this process yourself or in the future. So for starters, to access the base backup tool, when it initially rolls out, you will need to go into your research and unlock it. It is in the iron tier 3 list, and here it is. Probably just be called base backup tool. They may change the naming, but it's 10 iron ingots to craft, and it's 3 points, intel points, to unlock. Now, the first thing you need to do if you're going to consider moving your base is we're going to need to break down all these vehicles because, and I'll show you because we're not going to break down any of these vehicles, the base backup tool cannot capture vehicles. I doubt it'll ever will, but it'd be freaking amazing if it could. Currently, you can only craft the base backup tool, which we're going to call BBT from now on. So the BBT can be crafted only from your fabricator, the OG, at least currently. If you're going to do this, make sure you just craft a couple. Don't really need to, but just in case. And just to show you what's at risk here, we have container after container filled of items that I've collected for this playtest to bring these videos to you. This base backup tool, it's going to capture everything. So for instance, this advanced fabricator, we're going to change it to circuit 6 for input and output. For the garment fabricator, we're going to disable this. For this storage container, we're going to rename it and we'll call it Risk It for the Biscuit. We'll also change the access level to owner. Also noting in the survival fabricator, we have a couple items here. We're going to have one of the large ore refineries running with these in the queue. So some aluminum. We'll have the second one also processing. We're going to disable this pentashield, but you get the idea. We've got all these little things that are happening right now, and we're going to see how much of this actually transfers over. A good thing to check is your subfief, as this tells us exactly how much storage we have. So we're hoping that by the end of this should be pretty much exactly the same, give or take some water or power differences. But storage should technically be very similar. And we're going to grab a backup tool. But here we go. Let's try back up this base. This is going to be pretty much the most exhaustive test. I don't think anyone has risked it. And hopefully this works. Otherwise, this will be the last video. But here we go. We're going to right click. We should get a pop-up. This is your first warning. You're about to back up your base. If you do this, you will completely and fully remove this whole base from the world. This includes the subfief consoles, all placeable, all building pieces inside every land claim, meaning all the staked extra building space that you've claimed. All of it will be basically captured like a Pokeball. We're going to say, do you want to continue? We're going to hit confirm. And see if we hit any other rules or validations. We're going to hit confirm. Boom. Holy shit. There goes the whole base. Whoa. And all the vehicles have dropped as they will not be copied. So I'm just going to quickly move these vehicles and see if we can place the base back down and go from there. But just quickly scouting the area, you'll notice that there is no dropped chests, as every little last bit of resource in containers have all been captured. Move the vehicles, but I've left one. Just to give you an example of one of the areas that you could run into is the placement blocked by another object. If anything is blocking your placement, you will get the placement blocked by another object. That will have to be cleared before you can place it down. In this case, we're just moving this spike, which will clear that error, which now I can show you by far the coolest feature of this whole system. And it's not going to work for everyone because it will rely on you going to the exact location in any of the Haga Basin sietches within your world, at least in this initial phase, and hitting right click, which is toggle snap to origin. This feature allows you to toggle your base exactly how it was in your instance you were in, which is incredible. So here it is just over here. If I hit right click, boom, it already knows exactly where it needs to go. This is pretty mind-blowing tech. So all we're doing in this test is we're just going to figure out if we can properly back up the base with all the resources, the land claimed, which we can clearly see all the land claim has been captured. And before we place this down, the other really important thing that I need to add for those scenarios where you can't snap it to the location, they've actually done some pretty clever stuff in the background. So what we can do is we reset the backup tool, place this somewhere a little bit differently. See how right now those pieces are in red? And if we get it closer to the ground, see how it's adding additional pieces to try connect your base to the terrain. This is what's going to help this apply to so many more scenarios. because the snap to origin is the happy path, the golden scenario. All you have to do is have the exact same location free and you can take your whole base, no worries. But what they've also done to try help all of us who have built into all the various terrain is programmed in this ability for the base to try add additional base pieces to help you actually take those bases that look crazy, built into all kinds of surface area, and then try help apply a few extra building pieces to help many of us still be able to use this function. It's certainly helpful. It's not going to work for everyone, but it is a cool feature that they've tried to add, and maybe they will build on further. They've also very cleverly tried to highlight all the things that are like overlapping if you were to try place down the base. So it does sort of capture everything inside. But in my case, I'm finding it very hard to be able to place it. Now, I think it's because of these pieces that are highlighted saying that they're not supported, because those are the only indications. And I'm not 100% sure why that's the case. But what we're going to do is we're just going to use the simple happy path and toggle it to exactly where I built it. And we're going to left click and we're going to confirm, and hopefully everything is intact. Boom, the whole base just got created. That's incredible. Now we'll go in and see if all the changes that we've made are still there. First, we'll check the subfief. Okay, let me check. I'll throw up a comparison of the subfief and see if everything is there. So we'll look side by side. I'm just going to say for now that everything is intact. I won't know for sure until I go and edit this video, but it's looking good. Let's check the fabricator. It's still got the items left in the storage. It's even kept the circuit 6. It also kept the pentashield disabled. The storage container kept its name. It kept the correct access level. The garment fabricator is disabled. I mean, everything is exactly as the base was when I left it. Just check the storage container. Everything looks like it's still there, even in all the same places. Nothing has changed. And let's have a look at the large ore refiner. It's still running. Oh man, this is pretty powerful stuff. So there you go, risk it for the biscuit, and it actually looks like they've pulled this off. The only thing you will have to update is the permission list. I'm pretty sure that will completely reset, so you will have to add everyone back to the permission list. Now the only issue I noticed is that once I'd copied the base, I wasn't able to construct anything from the containers. There is a little bit of a workaround for not being able to access any of your storage while using the construction tool, and that is going to your subfief and changing the circuits. Currently that is a workaround. As you can see, I've changed some of the circuits and it's picking up some of my inventory now. Now I've done quite a few tests, and this works perfectly when transferring to a new siege within your same world. So I can confirm it's working. Your whole base will be transferred. I do still caution everyone when this does go live, give it some more time just in case. But now we're going to go through some of the rules and validations that you're going to hit. Definitely note, this won't work for everyone. It's still going to be a pain in the butt to place some of these bases down, but they have tried to account for a good amount of us. So the very first validation you'll find is the base not found. That just means you're too far away from the base. As you get closer, that error will go away. The next validation is if your subfief is not on any foundation and you go confirm, you'll get the failed to backup base. So your subfief will always have to be placed within your base, and particularly on foundation or support structures. This next validation is very important because many bases will probably fall under this category. So the way this backup tool works, it's only going to back up anything that is on structural or foundation pieces. Anything that sits on the ground, rocks, anything not supported by the foundation, structural pieces, which if you go into your structural tab while you have the building tool, any of these pieces, if any part of your base or containers or anything, these pieces, and you try to back up, you'll get the first warning message like normal. Then we hit confirm, and this is going to actually give you an exact count of all the placeables that are not connected to the building. So anything not sitting on the structures or foundation will appear at that figure where number 1 is. So I'll just read it out. There are 1 placeables that are not connected to the building. If you continue, these placeables will not be included in the backup and will be left behind. Do you wish to continue? We're going to go yes. It's going to remove everything but leave this container. So keep that in mind. It is helpful that it keeps the container, it doesn't delete it. So you will be able to go and confirm what's left behind, pick it up and move it still. And as you can see, we got that excellent addition of it trying to add extra pieces. There's an over limit behavior. So let's say if you have reached your 5,000 piece limit and you go to try relocate, currently as it stands, the functionality will still be able to add some foundation and support structures to accommodate placement. I don't know if that will be the plan going forward, but at least currently it does allow and support over 5,000 piece builds. I think that's really awesome. I hope they keep that, but don't know if it's going to stay forever. There is a limit to how many pieces it will add, but it's terrific that it does try to do that. Now, what happens if we try relocate our base and objects are sitting beneath the terrain? Well, you get the foundation is beneath terrain error. It's also worth noting that the change width is a very smooth action. Same with the change of depth, changing the height just like you normally would by control and going up and down. Now, the other scenario, which is a bit difficult, is let's say anything overlaps with an object, whether it be a vehicle, person, terrain, you'll get the placement blocked by another object. Now, if we try confirm this, we'll hit right click, but we won't be able to place it. So this is one validation you cannot get around. You will have to place your base where every object isn't overlapping with terrain, vehicles, people, or another subfief. Good thing is it doesn't count on the resource nodes or anything other than just sitting behind the terrain, vehicles, and objects. And you'll get the not enough support, which is very obvious. You just need to move the base down a little bit. It's important to note that the backup tool cannot be traded, banked, stored, pretty much anything outside having it in your personal inventory and doing this, going from one slot in your inventory to equipping it. The only other thing you can do is destroy the item. You'll be able to destroy the item manually. Just keep in mind you can destroy your entire base. If you stored it and you accidentally hit the X button while hovering over it, X, you can hit confirm. It's going to destroy that base. Douche, it's gone. When you open your container and you try drag it into the container, it's not going to work. No walls or sides rebuild. Only the structural supports are generated. The other huge thing is, and I can't stress this enough, do not back up your base and go onto the sand dunes or put yourself at risk getting swallowed by a worm. If you get swallowed by a worm currently, you will lose the device. In fact, you'll lose everything. Your whole base will be gone if you get swallowed by a worm. We're still waiting on official comments on this, but I suspect this shouldn't be the case, but we don't know. So don't get eaten by the worm after backing up your base. You could lose everything. It's also worth noting that the backup of damaged structures, damage values will persist. Same for all durability within all the various items that you have. You can't use this tool in the deep desert. So keep in mind the 3 weeks, it's per subfief. So you can only perform it every 3 weeks on each individual subfief. At least that's my understanding. So technically you can move all 3 bases over to a new siege within your world all within the same day, but you won't be able to move those 3 bases for another 3 weeks after that. But it's worth noting, as an example, I have 3 subfiefs down. If I go and back up this base or this subfief, one, we won't be able to because we need foundation under the subfief. Now that we have the foundation, we should be able to back this base up. It's captured it with the terrain. But what we're highlighting here is if we go to place down another subfief, we will be able to. But if we go to set down the backup tool, we won't be able to because we've already used the 3 subfief space. We'd have to go to another siege and place it down. So just keep that in mind. While it's stored, it doesn't actually count towards your subfief count, which in theory can kind of let you have additional bases. Just some will be stored. Here we're going to back up another base, just so you can see here we have the 2 stored. So another